Hoka hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of September the 12th, 2025. Zalem versus Iron City, A Tale of Two Societies, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gun'em, and the greatly desired sequels. I'm your host from Denver, Colorado, Creek Indian, and with me from Fountain, Colorado, practically my neighbor, is Lee. How's it going, Lee?
Hey, going pretty good so far.
Cool, and I forgot to advance the slide again, so there you have it. So there we go. So anyway, yeah, what's happening down there in Fountain there, Lee? Any
Well, nothing real exciting or anything, just a little bit of cloudiness, supposed to be raining later, and that's about it. That, and I'm packing up, getting ready to move.
Oh, that's right. You're moving in with your girlfriend. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
Well, the more I pack up, the more I realize I have to keep packing, so it may end up being next month.
Yeah, it might be like 2 or 3 times, right? Moving stuff, yeah. Well,
not to mention,
cool.
I've got furniture I need to get rid of because we don't have room for it over there, and I don't have a truck anymore to haul any of it, so
yeah,
got to work on some way of doing that. Maybe finding somebody who wants a couch and a table and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm finally situated here in Denver, where I'm back at my at my computer, where I have multiple monitors and stuff like that, so I can do a little better job managing the stream as opposed to just doing it on my laptop, So anyway, I just wanted to say one thing. I don't talk politics on on the stream here for obvious reasons. I don't do it. I think it's really divisive and that kind of thing. But I just want to say a couple of things. I just say something about Charlie Kirk, and people on this stream, they know my political leanings. There's no doubt about it. I'm definitely a progressive. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm definitely a progressive. However, I didn't agree very much with what Charlie Kirk had to say and what his political ideology was and that kind of thing. However, he was a father, he was a husband, he had 2 kids, and I think it's just awful what happened, that he was assassinated. So, hopefully that we can heal from this and, and then stop this this craziness, that's going on in America anyway. So, anyway, that's all I want to say about it. I don't want to get into it, so I guess we can just move on from there. We have the LA Fires fundraiser still going. We haven't had a donation for a while, but we're leaving it up just in case. We'll probably take it down here in the next couple of weeks, because they still haven't reimbursed me all the money, but I've sent all of the $1,520 to the Greater Good charity. If you do want to donate, there's the link, below the image on your screen there. That link is also down in the description. You just click on it, takes you to the website. You can donate, and of course you can enter your name like Angelus and I have done. I'm Gary Villeneuve, obviously, and Angelus is David Birch, for sure. I know Lee has, he donated, and he's anonymous there. You see there at $20, but you can specify anonymous as well. You don't want your name out there. That's that for sure. You can do that, or you can put your internet handle. If you want to do that as well. So, and I think Lee, that what you see on the screen here, Lee is his internet handle. So,
yeah,
and it goes by Lee Lemon sometimes, So, that you're not insinuating that you're a lemon, are you, Lee?
No, it's actually a reference to Futurama. There was a episode where Earth went to war with an alien race, and Leela was forbidden from entering for some reason or other into the military, or maybe Zap Brannigan was just talking crap to her about it or something like that. But she ended up getting in, and she took on the alias Lee Lemon.
So you took on her alias, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously not Creek Indian, that's for sure. You know, I mean, Creek is not my first name and Indian's not my last name. So I do have a real Indian name, though, but it's not Creek Indian. But anyway, we'll get into that someday, maybe. So if you want, you can donate. You can specify any of the three. You don't have to put your personal information out on the internet. And I understand why you wouldn't want to as well, you know. We do have the Alita sequel petition going on still. And I think over the last couple of weeks, I don't know what we've done for the last week, but I know over the last couple of weeks, we've added 21 signatures. So that's an average of 10 a week. So, I mean, that's pretty good. You know, I mean, well, it's not great, but it just shows how we, you know, that it just keeps plodding along. It just keeps adding more signatures week in and week out. So that's kind of what we want to see, you know. We want to keep Alita current. You know, we want Disney to know that there is still a demand for the sequel for this movie. And of course, I want sequels. I don't want a sequel. Well, I do want a sequel, you know, but I want sequels. That's what I'm really after. There you see the link below the image on your screen. That link is also down in the description. You click on it, takes you to the website. You do have to enter your name and email there, but you can specify that as anonymous as well, because it does show the people that have signed the petition, you know, once you've signed it. But if you specify anonymous, it just shows anonymous. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to worry about your name, your personal information getting out on the internet. If you want to donate, you can do that as well. But it's not a requirement. You don't have to donate, you know, but if you can, we would love that as well. I know here about a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I put, I think, $200 in there or something like that. And it kind of gave it a little bit of a jump start. Not a bunch, but, you know, a little bit, you know. So anyway, that's a good thing. So if you want to donate, you can as well. We do have Rosa's Queen Studios bust of Alita. You know, she knows I have it. It's in the box still. I have not opened that box. The temptation is great, but I don't do it. You know, I'm letting it sit there in my house. When she's ready for it, we're going to get it to her, you know, any way she wants me to get it to her. If she just says, you know, hey, Creek, just send it to me, you know, ship it to me, you know, I'll do that. You know, if she says, can you bring it to me? I'll do that as well. I'll put it in my car and drive down to LA if I have to, you know. Any way she wants it, it's cool.
She's just real busy with all of her scheduling and everything.
Oh, I think that's it, you know. Yeah. But anyway, you know, this is not a gift from us. You know, it's definitely not a gift. This is our expression of appreciation, admiration, and affection for our queen. You know, we love Rosa to death. She's the queen of the Alita army. And I think she's quite pleased that she's the queen of the Elite Army. At least she was very pleased when I told her that, you know, when I went to see her last year. So, you know, I think it's you know, it's something I think she would enjoy. But it's going to be one of those things where it's a timing thing, I think. You know, like, for instance, when the sequel's greenlit, then maybe, you know, something will happen there, you know. So anyway, but there's no rush on it. There's nothing's going wrong here. It's just it's not in the way. It's just in my house, and it's no problem. We do have the Alita Gaming Network going on, and of course, if you're not a member, we really invite you to become one. You know, if you do live streams, you can post the link to your live stream in live streams channel. I didn't do that this week for this stream, but I know Maxi or Max Tac Jurai, I know he puts the link for Radio Chaos in here, and Chaos Nova also puts the link when he does a stream. Now, he doesn't do streams as often as we do, but he does do a stream from time to time, and he does those. I guess you would call them music streams, although it's, you know, it's just the music. He posts that in there too as well. So if you want to listen to his music posts, you know, you can do that too in the Alita Gaming Network. If you write fan fiction, then you can post that in the fan fiction channel. I know Lee, by the way, Lee has consented to read 2 more chapters, you know, of his fanfic here on the 26th. So looking forward to that. I know Maxie's fanfic is in there as well. So is Channel Does Not Exist. Her fanfics are in there. She's got several of them in there. Panini Freaks fanfic is in there as well. And even the Creeks fanfic is in there. So, you know, if you want to go read, you know, some stories that have been put together by Alita Army members, you could go to the fan fiction channel and read them. If it's a real short story, you can upload the actual document. If it's a longer story, you want to, you know, post a link in there. And if you have a link to like Archive of Our Own or some other service, you know, you could post that link in there, and people can, you know, click on the link and go read it. If you do artwork or videos, you can put that in the user creations channel, and you don't need my permission to do that. You don't need Matu's permission. You just go ahead and, you know, put whatever you've produced there, you know, in the user creations channel. If you've put something together that's maybe not Alita related, or maybe loosely or Alita related, or maybe somewhat similar, like I know Angelus has put Eve from Stellar Blade in there. I know he's done some of that, you know, and you know, you can put that in the off-topic channel. So, you know, and you don't need my permission for that either. We have 3 voice channels that they are not streamed. You can just get, you know, tell people, you know, invite 2 or 3 of your friends that are in the gaming network. You can get on any one of those 3 channels and, you know, just, you know, talk about any subject you want to. And it's like a Zoom call or a Microsoft Teams call, or say GoToMeeting or something like that. It's very similar to that. It's not streamed to any publicly visible, you know, kind of server of any kind. So you can just, you and your compadres can be in that channel talking. I know Vladi and Smendrick, by the way, they get on the gaming channel, excuse me, get on the gaming channel from time to time. And we did have a watch party last Tuesday, and Smendrick showed up for the watch party, which is really, really great, because I've been a little concerned about him, because he does have some health issues going on. And but he showed up, and we watched, I can't forget, I think Angela showed up too as well, but we watched Alita Battle Angel, you know, in the watch party channel. And if you want to do a watch party, you can do that as well. You know, you don't need my permission to do it. You know, you can just, you know, invite some of your friends. You get in the watch party channel, which would be very similar to the voice channel, and you just do your watch party. It's not streamed, so you don't have any issues with copyright or anything like that. You can announce your watch party in the watch party text channel, and you know, invite people and that kind of thing, and you can do your watch party. So, you know, that's what we do there. If you're not a member of the Alita Gaming Network, you can click on that link you see below our little chibi Alita mascot, and you'll get an invite. Now, if you don't have a Discord username, what will happen is it'll ask you to create one, and it's absolutely free. If you get the basic Discord access, it's free. You don't have to pay a penny. Now, if you want to go for more premium access, or you want to use Nitro or something like that, that'll cost you a monthly fee of whatever. I don't use either one of them, so for me, I use the free service. But you click on it, you know, and you'll get an invite, and then you just join. You don't have to wait for anybody to approve, you know, you getting into the channel. Once you get the invite and you click on it, you're in. And I think you'll find the folks are really friendly. You know, we've had people join, and a whole bunch of people have that little emoji waving, you know, to the new member and stuff like that. So it's pretty, it's really intimate. It's not very big right now. It's got maybe 50 people, members in it, maybe 46, 47 perhaps. It's pretty small because we're not really pushing it except on the 2 streams. That's the only place you see it. And I think the people that are on the gaming network really like that, because it makes it a little bit more intimate, you know, as they would say, you know. So, and Matu and I watch for anything that's maybe inappropriate on the channel. We have not ever had a problem with that. Nobody puts anything that's untoward or inappropriate on the channel. if we see something like that, we're going to delete it, you know, and possibly kick the member out. But we've not had a problem with that at all, because the Elite Army is very respectful, and we just want to have fun with this. We don't want to start any crap with this. You know, we just want to get in here and just kind of have a great time. Okay. So anyway, wanted to talk a little bit about this, because this is us right here. You see me on the far left there, and then you see Lee there. He's standing to the left of that's Derek Mears, who played Romo, by the way. And then you see Do Not Stand By is next to Lee, and then you got Alita Rave that's on the far right over there. But anyway, Alita Rave came up with this great idea, I think, that we can do some participation to kind of raise the visibility of the Alita Army and to show our support, you know, for Alita and Rosa, you know, because that's our mission, right? Our mission is to support Alita and Rosa passionately and positively. That's what we want to do. So, but his idea is that we would have these two activities, and right now we're kind of keying on the New York City Comic-Con because it's probably the biggest one. But we're gonna rent a room there, and you know, we can go either one or both of these activities, or we have a cosplay competition, or we could have an Alita sequel competition, you know, and we just give out prizes. You know, first, second, and third place, you know, $1,000, $500, $250, and you know, just hand that out. Now I know the Alita Army only has $22 in our account, you know, but I think you know, Alita Rave and I are going to fund this for the most part. Probably we may do a GoFundMe on it, but I don't like to ask for money like that for something like this, but we might do it. But you know, Alita Rave and I can afford this, so we, you know, we're gonna kind of come up with this. We wanted to try to do it this year, but the New York City Comic-Con is next month, and we don't have enough time to do proper planning on it. So, you know, we decided that, well, let's go for next year, you know. And Alita Rave has a cousin that's a marketing guy, you know, that does some of this stuff for this Comic-Con. And Alita Rave said, well, you know, it'd be best if we wait for next year. Now, what we might also do is we might even do one, let's say, in LA or San Diego, you know, do something like this there as well. So anyway, I'm asking the chat, what do you think? Do you think this is a great idea? If you got other ideas, you can post them in the chat during the stream here, or you can send me a DM. It doesn't matter, you know. Any way we can make the Alita Army, you know, more visible, and we can show our support for Alita and Rosa. That's what we want to do, you know. And this is a great idea. You know, we got a couple of other ideas, but I'm gonna keep them close to my chest right now, because we're still just talking about it. We're not really doing it, you know, at this point. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this. This will be in October of 2026. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. What's your thoughts on this, Lee?
Well, it certainly seems like it's worth a shot. I mean,
yeah,
it seems like something that people might take some kind of interest in. I mean, I'm not really familiar with, you know, Comic-Cons and the activities that go on there, but you get a lot of people showing up, and people see it, they might take an interest.
Well, the idea here is for us to promote this in such a way that we get people that are coming to the Comic-Con and say, look, we're going to have a cosplay competition. You pick an Alita Battle Angel character or a Battle Angel Alita, you know, from the anime or manga. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you kind of cosplay that character, and you come to the Comic-Con, and if you got the best, you know, cosplay, then you could win $1,000, you know. I mean, I think that'll draw some people, and it raise awareness and that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And we got first, second, third place. We might even do something like, you know, maybe some honorable mentions, like pass out some little Alitas or something like that. You know, we didn't really go into that too much, but, you know, we could do something like that as well. Anything to kind of foster that good feeling about Alita and to kind of keep her current, you know, is what we want to try to do. So anyway, there in the chat, what do you think about this? It looks like Alita Rave is, I mean, not Alita Rave, Alita Bat AKA is having trouble setting up an account due to a glitch.
I encountered the same kind of thing when I tried to sign up for Twitter. It kept refusing all of my password attempts.
Well, anyway, AKA, if you want to see what we can do about this, if you'll come on the Stomtish after this, the after party, then maybe we can talk about it, you know, and see if we can do a little tech support for you, see if that'll help any. And yeah, it's a great idea. I agree with you, AKA. We really are excited about doing this. You know, Alita Rave, you know, he owns his own software company, and you know, he does a great job, you know, on that, you know, and we won't go too much in that because we don't want to plug companies, you know, but you know, he has a software company, I have a consulting company, so we can come up with the cash for this, you know, it's no big deal, you know. So you know, but you know, we might ask for a donation or something, you know, but we're not gonna really pressure the Alita Army for money. That's for sure. That sounds kind of cheesy, doesn't it? We don't want to do that. So anyway, okay, so be on the lookout, be looking forward to this, you know, and of course we might do this, you know, we might do the, not just might do this, we really want to do this. We've kind of already started this. We had a meeting on Wednesday, I think it was, about this. So we've started the process already. He's already contacted the folks affiliated or associated rather with the New York City Comic-Con. So we're on the move on this, and we got a year. So we're going to be able to put something together pretty cool, I think, you know. And we might do something at the LA Comic-Con, I don't know, or say the San Diego Comic-Con. We'll see, you know, how things go with the planning and stuff like that. And one other thing we kind of briefly talked about, that, you know, about the Colorado Springs Comic-Con. Now it's a smaller Comic-Con, but there are some important people there, you know, that show up. Like you see Derek Mears there. You know, he's the guy standing between me and Lee there. He's a big fella, you know, he's taller than the creek, that's for sure. So, but
he is not a small guy.
Yeah, he's not a little guy, you know, and he looks to be in good shape too, I can tell you. But yeah, you know, he was a great guy. But yeah, we kind of batted around like, well, maybe we might want to do a return, you know, visit to the Colorado Springs Comic-Con, because there was actually 5 of us. I think Alita Rave's friend was there with us as well, and he took off somewhere to go look at something. I can't remember what it was. But what was interesting about this, and I think if you saw the stream that we did a couple of years ago on this, where we reported, you know, what we did on in the Colorado Springs Comic-Con, you know, we were walking up there, and I was kind of first one walking up there, you know, and Derek Mears looked and he saw us coming and he said, "Oh, look, it's the Alita Army." So he knew who we were, you know, and he was really a great guy. You know, we got to talk to him for quite a while, you know. As a matter of fact, I think I want to share my screen on something else here, just to give you an idea what that was all about at that Comic-Con. Where is that? There it is. So anyway, this is what it kind of looked like there. So oh wait, there we go. So there's the first one. So you see now what that is. That's a vendor that was selling a lot of artwork and that sort of thing. So, you know, we kind of, you know, had fun with that. Let me get to this is not working the way I wanted to. Let me remove this and go back the other way with it. Do this. Put that over there. Okay. So now I want to share the. Bear with me, folks. I'm getting there. Okay, there it is. So anyway, let me make this larger. And let's make it full screen. So yeah, these were there are a lot of vendors at the Colorado Springs Comic-Con, and it would be a similar setup for New York City or LA, say, or San Diego, except it would be a lot bigger, in terms of at the number of people there. And there was a lot of people at this one, wasn't there, Lee? I mean, we literally were walking. They had 2 exhibition halls set up, and you literally walked with your arms by your side trying to squeeze through these places.
Yep.
But anyway, and another one. Now there we were with Derek Mears, and really a great guy. I mean, and he's had other parts, not just as Romo. He was Swamp Thing, and oh gosh, I can't remember all the parts he played, but he's been in a lot of other stuff. We also met people like I met Lou Ferrigno. He's a big fella. We met, I guess, Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov, in the original Star Trek series. And gosh, I can't recall who all we saw. There were a lot of booths there with these different celebrities. It was really kind of cool. And then people playing cosplay. Now, this is what we would be after, something like this. Now, this is the Joker and Harley Quinn, obviously, but what we'd want to do is, if you see William Shatner was actually at this Comic-Con too. You can see his the poster in the background there. He was there. He had a room set up, he didn't have a booth. He had a room that people would go in there. But anyway, that's kind of what we want to do with the New York City thing. We want to, kind of announce this, promote it. So people, will know, hey, I got a shot at $1,000 here, and then some of these folks are really good at these cosplays, so we'd probably get some pretty good participation in this. And then certainly, we would award, what we would think is the best one. We got to figure out a way how we would come up with a rating or something like that, but because you don't want to do it arbitrarily, obviously. And then here's Thanos, of course, and luckily he's pointing his index finger and not his middle finger with all the Infinity Stones. And then, of course, now KranberriJam told me who the individual on the left was. I don't know who that is, and she didn't know who the person on the right, who they were cosplaying, but you see a lot of that. But see, this is kind of what we're after. We want folks to, if there was folks there, you see a stormtrooper and a dark trooper, they were there. There was a lot of Star Wars folks there. And there's another shot of it. And then there we are with David Soboleff. What was interesting about David Soboleff was is that we had programs and everything. And he and Lee and Do Not Stand By and I were, basically went to talk to him. And I think Alita Rave and his friend had gone somewhere else. I can't remember, but this was in the other exhibition hall. They had 2 of them. And we came up to him, and he recognized us as being in the Elite Army. He didn't say, "Oh, good, here comes the Elite Army," like Derek Mears did. But he did recognize us as in the Elite Army, certainly, because we're wearing those shirts for sure. And I kind of had a program in my hand, and he said, do you want me to sign your program? I said, "Oh, you don't have to do that. It's okay, And he said, "No, I want to sign it, And I said, "Okay." I gave it to him, and he wrote me a really nice, "Thank you for being in the Elite Army." To Gary, "Thank you for being in the Elite Army, David Soboleff." And anybody that doesn't know who this is, I think he was one of the first folks who was interviewed on Radio Chaos. He was the voice of the Centurions. So, he's a pretty good, he was a good guy too. We had fun talking to him as well. He's a voice actor. And yeah, there's what he did. "Thanks for being part of the Elite Army," to Gary, David Soboleff, you can see. And that particular thing right there, that is in my bar. I framed it and put it up in my bar. Just like I framed the program for Cyrano de Bergerac that Rosa signed for me. What was funny about that one was we were standing there, I had the program in my hand. She said, you want me to sign your program? I said, oh, Rosie, you don't have to do that, really. And she grabbed it out of my hand and said, give me that, and signed it. So it's pretty neat, So anyway, that's kind of where we are with that one. That's kind of what we want to do, with this right here. We want to do a very similar thing, except it's going to be a competition. And if we can get people to sign the Alita sequel petition, that would be great, because we could really jack those numbers up, getting people to sign the petitions, particularly if we make that a competition, and whoever has the most signatures, then they get $1,000. And if we do both competitions, I guess Alita Rave and I better bring some extra cash. So anyway, yeah, this is kind of what we want to do, yeah, AKA it's very neat. We definitely want to do this, I think. And we kicked it off last Wednesday, so we're going to do it. So, okay, that's about all I got to say about that, I think, unless Lee, you got any questions about this, or anybody in the chat. If you got an idea, you can put it in the chat anytime during the stream, and that I'll make a note of it.
No questions or anything on my end.
Okay.
At least not yet, anyway.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the main topic then. Basically, what I want to do here is we want to kind of differentiate, kind of what's going on in Zalem and in Iron City. And I got talking points on this, but we're not going to limit it to that. And by the way, what I'll do, if anybody wants to come on the stream, this will be the same link you would have to get on the Stammtisch. But here's the link right here. All you got to do is click on this link. If you want to come on and talk about this, we'd love to have you on here and, get your ideas about this, get your concepts of what life would be like in, say, Iron City. Or we did do a stream similar to that here a while back, and in Zalem, and what the differences would be. So just click on that link and I'll bring you in, and you can join us in the discussion. And Lee and I won't bite, or at least we don't bite hard. So anyway, you can, so you come on and have a little chat with us, and we would love to have you. So anyway, what we're going to talk about is just kind of go into a little bit of a discussion about Zalem. What life might living in Zalem, and maybe some of the, conditions there and stuff like that. And then, of course, we're going to do the same thing with Iron City. In other words, what would it be like to live in Iron City? And, what you'd be faced with, how would you survive, for one thing? That'd be something that would be probably more, I guess I won't say important. Yeah, it'd be important. It would be, I would say, a lot tougher to survive in Iron City than it would be Zalem, in terms of having to deal with criminals, because life is so hard in Iron City that the crime rate's really high, because people they're desperate, and it's dystopian, and the people, a lot of folks just trying to get by. They just want to eat, for one thing, whereas in Zalem, it's not a similar thing. Zalem would probably, well, we'll get to it in more detail, but Zalem would be probably closer than what you would have, say, like in a major city. It could any major city in the US, or say Europe or Australia or something like that. Which there are problems in big cities, but really you got all the services there. You can eat, and and that kind of thing. And they have. I
get the impression that Zalem's probably got concerns like the regimented life that I think the citizens have there.
Yeah.
Very strict rules.
Yeah.
Other things like that. Basically, it's a very dictatorial sort of life that the people live there, as opposed to Iron City, where they are desperate and poor, but they're also in a way freer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're more at risk, but they're freer. So it's kind of a trade-off, isn't it? So
Yeah. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the dream of going to Zalem. You know, that was one of Hugo's big things. That wasn't one of his.
No, apparently,
big
it's a
things.
big thing for a lot of people. But
a lot of
Hugo
them, yeah.
really made a focus of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not just a big thing; it was the big thing with him until he met Alita, of course.
Yep.
Then, like he said, nothing's clear, I think is what he told her when they were in his apartment. So, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why Iron City citizens can't go to Zalem. But before we go there, we're even going to talk about kind of the real world ambitions of maybe people in Iron City, let's say, about, you know, what are some of the illusions they would have about Zalem, and how does it even apply today? You know, in other words, we have illusions. If you live in one place, you might have an illusion about living in another place. It's kind of like there's an old saying, you know, grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. You know, that's that kind of thing, you know. So, but anyway, we're going to hit all of those points. And the first thing I guess we'll talk about is Zalem itself. Now, just a little background on Zalem is if you remember when Hugo and Alita and Koyomi and Tanji were all going to the ship, you know, they were walking there in McKinney Falls, which is where Angelus and I were at one point, you know, walking to that ship. And Hugo wanted to take Alita there because he thought it would kind of help restore her memory, if you remember the movie, which I'm sure we all do. And I think I watched that movie again when I was flying back from North Carolina for probably the 90th time plus, you know. So anyway, but as Hugo said, this is, you know, you know, he didn't say how many sky cities there were, but he did say after the battle, you know, the big battle on Earth, you know, Zalem was the only city that survived, you know, and I think in the manga, what they say there were 12 of them. Is that what it was, or 8?
12 or 13, something like that. It was around a dozen. But as a side note, in the manga, we find out that there was actually a second city that survived all of that.
Oh yeah, it was on the other side of the planet, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know much detail about it. It was just like a quick reference to it, and it was like, well, you're going to show that and then not give us any details about it, really?
Yeah,
there's a whole second city over there. It's like,
yeah,
what are people like? What is their lifestyle like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do remember that. Would you remember what the name of that city was?
Not for the life of me.
Yeah, where's the bad man? Bad man's out there. What's the name of that second sky city in the manga? Bad man. You know, Bad Man probably ought to come on here, right? Just to help us out with this. Yeah, I'd hate to live in Zalem, too rigid, too manicured. Yeah. If you're a country boy, then no, Zalem's not the place for you, you know. Is it safer than Iron City? Yeah. There we go, Bad Man. Nezzer. Okay, that was a city. And it sits in the Indian Ocean, yeah. Yep, I remember that. Yeah. Thanks, Bad Man. I appreciate it. Yeah, Maxie is the Pope of the elite army, and Bad Man now, I guess, is the professor, I guess.
I'd say he's the librarian.
Yeah, the librarian or whatever, you know, one of the subject matter experts anyway. So anyway, but in the movie, the only city that survived was Zalem. Okay, all the other 11 other sky cities came down. I guess the military took them all out except for Zalem, you know. And in the movie, we don't really have, in the movie itself, now in the extras, we find out what happened was Mars and Earth kind of wiped each other out, kind of, you know. I mean, you know, I guess the Earth had launched some kind of cyborg kind of pandemic looking thing going on there to attack cyborgs, and Mars had launched a like a virus or something on Earth that took out like 95% of all humans or something like that, you know. And basically it was a stalemate. Nobody won, you know, which is what you would think would happen in interplanetary war if you have two civilizations that are somewhat equal in, you know, technology. Yeah,
two spacefaring civilizations throwing massive, you know, weapons of mass destruction back and forth to each other. probably not going to be much left.
Yeah. Now, if you had an interstellar civilization, their military attacked, that'd be different, because their technology and weaponry would be so advanced. Like, say, for instance, you had a military that came from a planet, or say a moon orbiting Sirius, the dog star, which is what, about 8 light years away, I think. Well, the technology it would take to traverse 8 light years would be way ahead of anything, even that they would have, in the Battle Angel Alita, or Alita Battle Angel. Alita Battle Angel, they're interplanetary, kind of a setup. And their technology is really advanced, but it would probably be thousands of years behind an interstellar spacefaring civilization. So it would be like Neanderthals fighting the U.S. Air Force. That's what it would be like. Pretty much similar to that. I mean, it wouldn't be much of a fight, but where you got two pretty much equal. Now, I think the technology was more advanced than Earth, but probably Earth had more resources and stuff like that, and they had quantity on their side, and Mars had quality on their side, but they were somewhat similar in terms of their abilities, that they cancel each other out. And that's what would happen, in an interplanetary war, I think, but who knows? One of the things about Zalem is the people that live there. I got the word upper class there, but I'm not sure that fits the description all that well. It is, I guess, people would be more educated there, I guess. We don't know much from the movie, for sure. What we just see is a floating city,
Yeah.
But
well, that's the thing with Ito's knowledge, that he, even in the movie, that he, sort of exhibits having knowledge about, previous law enforcement, all that. Excuse me. I suspect they're probably better educated, but it's a much more controlled education. Yeah.
Oh, it definitely would be controlled, because the leadership, in Zalem, they not only want to control the people in Iron City, they want to control the people in Zalem. So yeah, they want to have that control. Now, in the movie, of course, Nova is, if he's not at the top, he's way up there, in terms of where they are in the government, I guess we'd call it the government. But yeah, that's right, Bad Man. In the manga, Nova does not control Zalem. He does not do that. And you kind of get the sense that he does in the movie. But yeah, not in the manga. He's just a guy that's doing these weird ass experiments on people. And he's brutal, and he's a bit of a prick, actually, so
yeah.
So anyway, but he's not in control of anything except for what he does, in the manga. But in the movie, he appears to have some kind of, higher up. He's high up in the hierarchy or something like that, Yes, this is the quintessential gate community. You can't get up there. There's no way, Yep. And if you remember what Vector told Alita when they were in his office, and she was going to, she was about to, run him through, I guess, he opens up, that freezer box that has Shirin in it, Shirin's brain and her eyes and her hands and her heart and that kind of stuff, the vital organs, I guess. And, he says, and that's the only way anyone ever gets to Zalem. If that, and of course, in the movie, that'd be, if Nova wants these body parts, that's the only way you're going to get up there, is by him getting your body parts, which is not a good thing, because, then so nobody has access to it. I mean, you can't get there. And
unless there is some truth to the thing about a final champion in Motorball being able to have their brain transferred up, and maybe they somehow get a new body up there or something. But
yeah, it could be. Yeah, I got a slide coming up on that. But yeah, that's true. The final champion, maybe. I got a little question mark on that one when we get to it.
because you can't trust anything Nova or Vector before he got killed in the movie. Vector wasn't killed in the manga. He kept going, you know. What is this? Yeah, that's right. But if Nova has a special interest in you, for whatever that is, if it's just for your body parts, of course, then, you know, your body parts is what he's after. If it's you, if he wants you for some reason, maybe you got some extraordinary ability, or, you know, you got something intangible to offer him, or something like, I guess, I don't know, you know, that would indicate that it would be of great value for him to get you up there, then maybe you get up there, you know. But that's the only way you're getting up there, you know, is if he wants you to come up there in the movie. What is this? Seems like want her alive and kicking.
Well, I think
yeah, he does. Yeah.
I think he made it pretty clear why he wants her alive and kicking.
Yeah.
He wants to break her, make her suffer, torture her a bit, and then kill her finally.
Well, I think it's entertaining to him.
Yeah, he stated he loves watching people suffer and die.
Yeah.
It's a game to him.
Now
he's a god, and they are all his playing pieces on the.
Well, I tell you, he's playing with fire with Alita, though.
Yeah,
because she's not like other cyborgs.
Well, that's the downside of supreme arrogance.
Yes,
you end up being supremely blind to something that maybe you should be a little more careful of.
Yep, that's right. So yeah, if you remember too, when I guess when Hugo and Alita were sitting on top of the church looking up there, and he says, he said, if I had your strength, I'd climb that tube to Zalem right now, you know. And she says, they don't let anybody up there. I mean, yeah, that's it. That is what it is, you know. Yep. Now, Zalem does govern Iron City. You know, they are, you know, they, if you read or looked at any of the extras that were in the DVD, I guess, I don't recall them being on the Blu-ray. Maybe they were, but on the DVD they had these extras, you know. And one of the things that happened after the Great War, you know, was that of course, you know, 95% of all humanity was wiped out, you know, basically, as was on Mars. You know, 95% of that population probably was wiped out, you know, for those cyborgs. And what happened is that Zalem then offered the survivors that had accumulated, you know, and had come to Iron City, hey, we'll do this for you if you supply us, you know. And that's basically how that, you know, came about. That was the mechanism in which they can govern Iron City. And of course, they themselves, Zalem, they are governed by Jeru.
Yep.
You know, now we're going to see, hopefully, you know, when we get to, not hopefully, confidently, when we get
the sequels
to
will go into
yeah, that's right. When we get into Alita 4, maybe, because I'm thinking we're going to have some sequels, you know, myself. At least that's what I'm pulling for, you know. I have a supreme confidence that we're going to have a sequel. You know, I do, at least one. But, you know, certainly I want more than one. But you know, the whole thing of it is that when we get to Alita 4, maybe, or maybe we see a series like in the Zot, let's say, on TV or something like that. Then what we'll see is that we'll meet Aga Embody, and he's kind of in charge of that situation up in Jeru, you know. And you know, Jeru is kind of like overseeing Iron City. What is this? AKA is saying, I wonder how the movie will reconcile Alita being Zalem's sworn enemy and they're all working for them. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We'll see that in the Badlands arc, I think.
Well, I think one way they might be able to do that is have the Barjack be such a threat, like maybe they get a hold of some old pre-fall technology, make some weapons out, become such a threat that they need a real powerful fighter like Alita to deal with them, and maybe they somehow use some kind of maybe the lives of her family as leverage against her to force her to work for them.
Yeah. Well, certainly in the manga, you know, she had a choice. You can die or you can work for us. And of course, she picked, I'll work for you. I mean, that's really the only logical decision you can make there on that one, you know. But yeah, I think we'll see her in one of the sequels. I think we'll see her working
working for Zalem, working, I guess, under the control of Bigot Eisenberg or something. Was that the MIB? I think it was.
No, it was the GIB, Ground
GIB,
Inspection Bureau.
that's right. Yeah. So anyway, and she becomes an agent of Zalem, and then of course, then we'll get to meet Figure 4. So that'll be pretty cool. So but the way they did that one, she was in that yellow room, and they said, well, and basically it was kind of like, it's almost like the Ouroboros thing, wasn't it? She was, they said, well, we're just going to let you die if you're not going to work for us.
It was kind of like that, except it didn't seem to have the same kind of intensity to it. Didn't seem to manipulate her into whole other, like perceiving other sort of realities.
Yeah.
And the Ouroboros seemed to have the ability, like the Matrix, to basically immerse you so deeply into a world it could alter your own memories and even your personality to some degree.
Yeah, and like AKA says, "Work for us or die." Yeah, that's a line I remembered from it. So, and she was sitting down by her bed, and she was, kind of had her hands folded, and she had made the decision, "I'm going to die." I'm tired of this, or something like that. But then eventually she came around, and they opened that.
Part of it, I think part of it was she had lost Ito, basically her family. Everybody had turned against her. It seemed like.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was she remembered that Nova was going to be able to
restore Ito. Yeah.
Restore Ito. So I think part of that was the hope that through working for them, she could find or track Nova down and get him to bring Ito back to life.
Yeah.
Like he had promised.
Yep. So she had that going for her, plus the chance to live. So they kind of had the double whammy on her. But yeah, you're right. The Ouroboros is more like the Matrix, whereas she was more or less, it was kind of like she was in a coma, wasn't she? When she
it was more like a virtual sort of lobby.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And then, of course, when she decided to work for him, then the yellow door opens and she goes through it, and she's back to her old self or whatever. Or she's in the tuned program. In the tuned program now, in the tuned body, so anyway, that's Zalem. I think people now, it'd be very regimented, a lot of control and regulations and ordinances and stuff like that you'd have to abide by there, but I think any of us probably could live in Zalem. It would be super advanced, but I think we could come to grips with that, because they would have things that would be similar to like grocery stores there, or supermarkets, whatever you want to call them. They'd have clothing stores. They'd have some forms of entertainment probably, and that kind of thing is what they'd have services there, like water and whatever. They'd have that kind of stuff. It'd be like a civilized, what you would look at as a civilized society, which of course would still be under the heavy thumb, of the governing, people, for sure, but I think any of us, would probably be able to adapt, I think, as opposed to Iron City, which is it's a lot different,
It's a bit of a rougher neighborhood.
Yeah, I think so. It's, and I got lower class citizenship. I don't mean that to mean that these are subhumans or anything, but they
lower socioeconomic sort of.
Yeah, that's right. And they don't have access to information like they would in Zalem, although even in Zalem, the information would be controlled for sure.
Oh, very carefully controlled.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons they would have such a tightly controlled education in Zalem, because once you educate children into seeing the world a certain way, they'll more readily accept it as adults.
Yes.
That this is just the way things are, and there's no reason to change it because this is just the world.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah. And I do think, that, for us, adapting to Iron City would be a lot more problematic, because it is dystopian.
Yeah.
You got it. Iron City itself it surrounds the scrapyard, which is really nothing more than a giant junk heap, is what it is.
Well, I think it also might depend on where you come from in our world. If you're if you grew up in, like, say, the inner city, in like Detroit or Chicago,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be that big of a change and that much of a culture shock. I mean, the high technology and stuff will be different, but otherwise it's probably not going to be really that much different.
Well, I think the interesting thing about Iron City too is that not all the technology is super advanced. Like if you looked at the, you know, I kind of noticed some things. The more you look to see Alita Battle Angel, the more you kind of notice things, you know, because you miss things. But you see things like lamps, like a desk lamp on Vector's desk, or say like the overhead light that was in his office, or the lights that were in Ito's, you know, in his clinic, you know, stuff like that would be very, very familiar to us. And even though the conveyance there, you know, like the taxis and stuff like that, even though they're different, you know, we would recognize, you know, because even some of them had taxi on them, you know, so, but, you know, and you would see like Hugo's truck, you would recognize that as a truck that would be used by somebody who was in business or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And there are ways you can get food there, you know, but it's not like you go down to the corner grocery store or something like that. You go to the market, you know, it'd be like going to a farmer's market.
Well, they did seem to have like stores, places where people could go to buy stuff.
Yeah,
that were probably, you know, maybe run by a family, possibly having the family members on hand to help guard it, or, you know. And they did seem to have like a general, sort of like an Old West general stores type setup, basically.
Yeah. Badman's right about here. I use the term governing people, you know, whoever that group was. Yeah, that's right. It was that MIB group, wasn't it? So that's, yeah, and of course that was managed by the computer, the quantum computer Melchizedek. So yeah, that's right, Badman. So Badman, you ought to come on here. I'm telling you. And let's see, they built film sets for 21st century lighting fixtures and all that. Yeah. You see, that's my point. You know, some of the technology in Iron City is old, you know, and some of it is super advanced. Certainly the cyborg or the cybernetic technology is way advanced over anything we got now, you know.
Yeah, even the most ratty looking cyborg is still highly advanced compared to anything we've got.
Yeah, that's right. Like, for instance, like Tilly Lockey, you know, I mean, she's a cyborg, you know, I mean, she's got, you know, those cybernetic arms, but I
think that might be pushing it a little bit. To me, a cyborg is cybernetically augmented, which means the augmentations are sort of built in. But I think she's close. I mean, she has some really neat prosthetics, certainly, that she's able to use.
But that would be hundreds of years behind anything in Iron City.
Exactly. I mean, even as neat as they are with the wireless features and everything like that, the cybernetics in Iron City, even the lowest quality ones, still seem to have a sense of touch and seem to be easy to install with the medical technology they have, and just hook right into your nervous system and are able to communicate with your own body's nervous system. I mean, it seems to be like a standardized technology that they've got there. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that's different too, one thing I would like, just let me come back a little bit to Tilly. If Tilly was to somehow, let's say Iron City and Zalem were real, you know, in the future, and Tilly was somehow, you know, teleported, you know, with some form of time displacement equipment, as they would say in Terminator, and she went to the 26th century, and she went to Doc Ito. Doc Ito would probably take her prosthetic hands and just, you know, install, you know, their hand, you know, the hands they have, their cybernetic arms and hands, you know, and she would be able to feel, you know, with the tips of her fingers and stuff like that, which I don't think
she would actually have a sense of touch. She'd be able to use them as quickly and as smoothly as, you know, regular biological hands.
Yeah, that's right. So
there wouldn't have to be any of the, I mean, she's got some really ingenious ways of using the prosthetics, but they are kind of workarounds for the limitations inherent in them.
Yeah, that's right.
And none of that would really be a problem with the advanced cybernetics that they have in the 26th century.
Well, I think the people in the 26th century, if Tilly, let's say, go up there, they would probably view her prosthetic hands. They'd think they were quaint, you know. That's what they would do. You know, they would look at that as the way we would look at technology back in the, let's say, the 16th century. It's kind of the way they would look at it, probably, you know, and say, oh, this is cute. You know, now they would recognize it as, you know, as prosthetics. They certainly would do that, but you know, they would say, no, we can do a lot better for you, girl. You know, hey, we're going to put these hands on you, you know, and you don't have to worry about changing them or anything like that.
I think a regular set of prosthetic hands would be faster, even stronger, because I think the servos have a great deal more strength in them than the ones that we use in prosthetics today. Yeah,
that's right. So it's just a matter of, I mean, 500 years advanced technology. Now, a lot of the technology there, of course, is not so advanced, so as we saw. But another thing about this is, like, the people up in Zalem, they, you know, we don't have a lot of info about those folks, but you know, about what they do or what kind of work they have. They probably all work for Zalem, but they probably have different types of, you know, jobs and stuff like this. It'd be kind of maybe similar to what we do today, you know, sort of, I guess. Down in Iron City, if you remember what Ito told Alita when he took her for that first tour of Iron City, he said, everyone down here works for Zalem, you know, in the factories and the farms, you know, because the idea here is that the agreement that they have with between Iron City and Zalem is that Iron City, you know, Zalem will provide them with support like technology and stuff like that. If Iron City supplies them with stuff like food and stuff like that, you know, so they kind of got a symbiotic relationship going on there, but everything in Iron City is more or less geared to Zalem. In other words, you either work for Zalem or you don't work, you know. Now, certainly they got vendors there that they do their own work, but they are actually serving the people that work for Zalem. So, you know, so indirectly they're working for Zalem. So what is this, bad man? Yeah, we are coming close to coming up with true cyborgs. For instance, I did see some, when I got to be careful what you see on YouTube, obviously, but I did see a video here sometime back about some folks that had, I guess, developed some cybernetic hands that could be connected. I mean, truly connected to your, you know, to your nervous system and your arm and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a video I saw of a university that was researching. They were working on a prototype. They were working with a woman who lost her arm in a car accident.
Yeah.
And
kind of like Gare had, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were using it with her, and it would hook up to a, I can't remember if the device was something she had sort of placed on her or if it was a neural implant of some sort.
Yeah.
But it actually had a sense of touch, texture sensors, and she could control it with basically using thought impulse, just like you would your biological arm.
Yeah.
So it was very close to what they've got in Iron City.
Yeah. Plus, today we have artificial eyes. I mean, they're working on that as well. I saw, you know, I saw something not on YouTube, but something I did some research on. I guess Maxie and I were talking about it one time when we did one of those technology streams, you know, some time ago, where the Creek put together 99 slides or whatever it was. And where we talked a little bit about the eyes. You know, they've come up with artificial eyes that they actually connect to your optic nerve. Now, I don't know what that situation is, if you really see something like, you know, what you would see with your real eye, but I would guess that my guess would be that what you would see with the artificial eye would be complemented by what you would see with your real eye, and then your brain would you would adapt to it to come up with the image, probably, I guess. But I am no neuroscientist, so I don't know this stuff. But that was my feeling about it, you know. Let's see. Badman says he didn't think Zalem was too concerned about providing technology to folks in Iron City unless it was required for the factory. That's probably true, Badman. I think what I was basing that on was one of those extras that I saw that did it kind of explain a little bit about the relationship between Iron City and Zalem. So that's kind of what I was going by on that, you know. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the people in Zalem, they don't give a rat's ass about the people in Iron City, except for the fact they depend on them for supply. You know, I think that's the main thing, you know. But in terms of, they don't have any altruistic kind of feelings toward these people. You know, they think they probably think of them as almost subhuman, which is unfortunate because they're humans. You know, even the cyborgs are humans. You know, I mean, they maybe like Alita, they may be 2% human, but they're still human. You know, if you get in trouble in Iron City, good luck with law enforcement. They don't
Best be good at getting yourself out of it.
Yeah, that's
or
exactly
have friends.
right. Yeah, have a lot of friends. You can't have a gun, so you can't do anything there. There's no Second Amendment there, but we have in the U.S. So you're just out of luck, you know.
Unless you've got one of those paralyzers, those would probably help you out.
Yeah, like Hugo.
It might be one of the reasons they're so common, is because it's an excellent way of, disabling somebody without too much trouble.
Yeah, swords and spears probably would be. I think any projectile weapon though would. I don't know what they would think about spears, because you can throw them. That might be considered a projectile weapon. I don't know. Interesting, but yeah, law enforcement, be that as it may, is by corrupt hunter warriors. Now, not all the hunter warriors are corrupt, for sure. I mean, Ito is not corrupt. He's a hunter warrior.
I think Ito is probably a very rare exception.
Probably.
I mean, he grew up in a different environment, so he seems to have a very different sort of moral outlook.
Yeah.
And the rest of the hunter warriors, well, they grew up in Iron City. They've got that Iron City sort of outlook. Life is brutal and short. Everybody's desperate. You have to look out for number one.
Yeah.
And maybe, a few close loved ones, people you care about, friends and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they're not really going to be too terribly concerned about, bending or breaking the rules, as long as it helps them get ahead, because, well, that's how people survive.
Exactly. Well, Zapan, he's corrupt as hell. He framed framed Hugo by killing. He kills, he kills Demetrius Polito's character.
The guy they were jacking.
Yeah, the guy they were jacking, and of course he kills Tanji. But he frames Hugo with the murder, and yeah, that's pretty corrupt right there. So he collect the bounty. That is very corrupt, But Badman says, according to the manga, surface dwellers are considered rats. Yeah, that's right.
They had a very low. They considered them vermin, basically.
Well, even in the anime, you remember when Alita was going up after Hugo, she asked the deckmen if he had seen a boy go through there, and what was this? These rings or whatever, and he said, well, they're used to catch rats. Is basically, I think, what he said. Something that was kind of a reference like this as well. So yeah, they're not considered as human beings even. They're just considered as pests or something, I think, And what is this? No, not well. I'm certain.
Well, they could be. I mean, a literal rat infestation could be a definite possibility when you've got like a place like Iron City.
Yeah.
And rats would be able to climb those tubes. So you definitely want to have some kind of means of brushing them off or getting rid of them, so they can't get up to Zalem.
Yeah, and those defense rings would certainly take care of the real rats, wouldn't they?
Yep.
So yeah, but
I mean, I found out rats can apparently chew through steel given enough time.
Well, they ain't going to chew through those defense rings that are coming down as fast as they are.
Nope.
Yeah, that's gonna kind of grind them up into sausage, I guess.
Yep.
Anyways, sorry for the mental image, folks. Anyway, the bottom. Another thing too is in Iron City there is not a lot of amenities in there. The only thing you got going for you in terms of entertainment, as an example, is motorball. Basically.
Well, I suspect they probably do have other forms of entertainment, but that seems to be the most prominent because it is basically backed by the system. The system pours a lot of resources into promoting it, building it up, making it this big spectacle to draw everybody in, that kind of thing. But they probably do have other things like, maybe boxing matches, small sporting events, that kind of thing that people can get involved in.
But they
Maybe
don't
even
have.
things like gladiatorial games, like something more like the.
Well, they do have gladiatorial games in the manga. They
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. So,
I mean, you look at the what was it? There used to be these old TV shows. I don't know if they still have them or not, but like these Ninja Warrior type game shows where people would get into
like the Running Man.
kind of like that, except
Yeah.
it was in the real world. They would use those padded sticks to combat each other on like a beam, trying to knock each other off.
Yeah.
Doing some very semi-dangerous kind of climbing exercises through obstacle courses and stuff.
Yeah.
Not sure
What's that? Yeah. What is that show where they the American Gladiator? I think.
Yeah,
does
that's
something
what I
like
was trying to think of. But
Yeah.
there was another one too that was like a head ninja in the name of it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are two examples of the kind of things that they would do. But because there aren't any sort of safety concerns really in Iron City,
Yeah.
they're probably a bit bloodier.
Yes. And good luck getting to the
Mhm.
internet and doing gaming. That's not happening.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Actually, you probably got people who can set up local networks that they can game on.
probably.
I mean, they've got
Yeah,
the
if-
technology to do it. I mean, they've got people that can do that today where they don't have to hook into the internet at all. They just get a working server and you've got a local network.
Yeah, I bet you though Iron City rather Zalem would probably want to police that, you would think, because
They would probably try to, but I think a local network that is isolated like that, they probably wouldn't even be able to detect, much less do anything to necessarily. And as long as they stayed low key and didn't do anything beyond just, a very small local thing, then Zalem's probably not going to worry too much about it. But if you
Yeah,
start
as long
getting
as
people trying to hack into Zalem's systems or something, then
then they
they're
would care.
probably going to come down on them, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And probably in a very final and brutal fashion.
Our Alita Army member, AKA there in Melbourne, says they have a cool one in the 80s in Australia called It's a Knockout. Yeah.
Mm.
That's
I
the
remember
first
they
time I've
had
heard
some
of
really strange ones in Japan too.
Yeah.
I think they still do, actually.
Yeah. So anyway,
Some of Japan's game shows tend to be kind of fever dreamish, in my estimation. A little odd.
What is this? Land-based multiplayer is unfortunately rare technology in video games these days.
Yep.
Well, I know
you get people looking to entertain themselves, starve for diversions, and you're probably going to get people in Iron City who are going to start bringing that kind of thing back.
Yeah, I know my nephew and I, from time to time, we'll use an app called Hamachi, and we play an old 90s game called Eradicator, and we play that sometimes over the network. I'm so sure they could do something like that. The question would be, down in Iron City, would they have software developers? Would they have people that had expertise in networks?
They'd have to. Software development, I think, would be an integral part of developing cybernetics, because you need processors with the proper code to run the hardware.
Yeah, I don't know how many people in Iron City would have that ability, though. I mean, probably, yeah, they probably do, like you say, Lee. But I guess that would be people would be like on the same level in society there as, say, Ito. You know, Ito is considered the best cyber surgeon in Iron City. They probably do have some computer programmers, stuff like that, that can, or they may even have AI that's more advanced that's able to do it for them too,
That, I think, is probably something that would be very hush-hush, because I suspect the factory would definitely crack down on that kind of thing.
Yeah, Zalem
because
would not.
AI can become, if it's properly developed, can become a pretty powerful tool. And you don't want the people you're oppressing to have power.
Yeah, that's right. So the bottom line is, just like up in Zalem, the Iron City, they are governed by Zalem with an iron fist, just like they are up in Zalem itself. With the exception, the difference being is that the people in Zalem are kind of, I guess the word I'm looking for here is more comfortable, or more, they're not as much at risk from crime and stuff like that, up there as they would be down in Iron City, but they are nevertheless still under the thumb of
Desperation,
the
disease, and
MIB.
despair. Yeah. That's what they've got Iron City stuck in. And many of them are, most all of them are probably just glad that they don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be the way it is in the real world, too. You get a lot of people who work themselves up from some kind of extreme poverty of something like that. When they get up to more comfortable sort of wealth, they stop caring about the what they left behind.
Yeah.
Because they're just glad they don't have to put up with it anymore.
I kind of agree with Badman on this.
Well, that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Modern AI isn't very intelligent. But you look at things like Melchizedek and was it
that's
Zeus?
Different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Zeus
600 years in the future. You've got much more powerful processors and architecture for a computer system.
Yeah.
You can probably get something that's better than what we've got now.
Well, we do have quantum computers now, but they wouldn't be anything like Melchizedek. I mean,
they're still also kind of in the prototype stage, from what I understand.
That's right.
I mean, they work, but they're just kind of
Well, it's like AI now. Now, I play with Copilot a lot, and it's very similar to talking to a person, Yeah. But there are other AI sites I get on to do images and stuff like that, and to animate them and stuff like that. And you give it a prompt. And here's one that really bugs me, is that I'll try to animate an image of Alita, firing the plasma rifle or something like that. And I'll put in there, Alita is not talking. Her mouth is not moving, and
it'll do exactly that.
And it does. And her mouth moves. Now, I don't mind if I want her to speak, I can dub in audio for that. But if I just want her to shoot the rifle and not talk, it's really hard to convince AI to do that. Yeah. And I even asked Copilot one time, give me a prompt that'll stop them. Copilot gave me a bunch of prompts, and I tried them, and none of them worked.
Yeah, it's totally surprising. Yeah, I think one of the biggest dangers of modern AI isn't the AI itself. It's these big, powerful entities and tech companies relying on AI when it is so unreliable. Yeah.
Welcome, Chaos, from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, I think, or somewhere around there. How's it going, Chaos?
He's might muted. Have some other concerns suddenly hanging on him at the moment.
Yeah, he might have some rugrats nibbling at his ankles or something.
Yep.
You never know.
Might be fending off the ankle biters.
Yeah, that's right. So. So anyway, but like I say, we were talking about, the one thing in common that Iron City citizens have with Zalem citizens, they are under the thumb of Zalem, all of them. So
they are both operating under systems of oppression. It's just very different levels of comfort and standard of living.
Yeah, that's right.
Societies being oppressed.
Yeah, the Zalemites. They got it pretty comfy, I guess. But, what's up, Chaos?
Oh, hi. I know I'm a bit late this time, but I don't know. I wouldn't really care to be confined to, only a fraction of this ring would be occupied. You could actually occupy. It's about 8 kilometers in diameter. So a fraction of that is even where people live in. Okay.
What ring is that?
I'm talking about Zalem. The disc diameter is 8 kilometers. That's it.
Yeah, I calculated that one time. It was 5 miles, which is 8 kilometers.
Well, I've gone to Valley Forge, and the whole way around Valley Forge is only about 6. So
yeah.
Hi, Alita.
Yeah, AKA we call him. Or I guess
I suspect they keep the population really low up there, so that it seems like there's a bit more space. But yeah, it's still kind of confined.
You don't really have. There's just this limited space to live. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So what's going on your channel there, Chaos?
I'm trying to make a part of that little fan video thing. I'll let you know when it's further along.
Okay.
I was going to live stream Sarge's Heroes today, but I got things were a little harder when I got back home because I need to put in a new screen.
You mean a new screen on your system or a new screen on your house?
No, like screen is in the screen on the door.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that screen.
This kind of reminds me of that thing I heard about in the 90s when I was working for DOD, you know, that there was a joke going around about someone that had called the tech support, and the person tech support, you know, their computer wasn't working and something like that. And the tech support person said, well, open a window. And the person gets up out of their chair and they go over the window and open it. So that's the, anyway, that was kind of, you had to be there, I guess. So anyway. Okay, in the manga, the diameter of Zalem is approximately 4 kilometers. Yeah, I get that, bad man. But what I did was I measured the diameter of Zalem. You know, there's a couple of shots of Zalem. You know, one of them is Hugo driving away
the
from
books. Well, the books for the movie is that it's 8 kilometers. So apparently the movie version's bigger.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So anyway, I measured it, and that helped me determine the altitude of Zalem, which was 2 miles. You know, which I guess is what
12,000 feet. No, 11,000, 12,000.
Yeah, in kilometers.
That's what I don't like about feet is it's like 5,280, but in meters it's 1,600.
Well, I know 2 miles is like it's something like a little over like 1 1/3 kilometers.
Right.
Like
I'm just saying 1 mile is 1,600 meters, so it's easier to find out a mile in meters than it is in feet.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, moving on from this one, I guess. Now, a lot of people in Iron City, you know, are dreaming about going to Zalem, but Hugo is the one that's we're really exposed to the most, and it seems like it's an obsession with him. You know, before he meets Alita, it's like he said when he was sitting on top of the church with her. He said, "You do whatever it takes to get to Zalem." You know, now he's basing that on just being lied to by Vector. You know, because Vector, I think, had no intention of sending Hugo up to Zalem. I think what he was after was the 1 million credits that, or I guess 1 million in the movie. I forget what it was in the manga. But anyway, I get you 1 million credits. You're going to send me up. Well, Hugo, the problem with that is if he sends you up, you're going to go up in pieces. You're not going up as Hugo, or at least if they send you up and they preserve, they keep you alive, then you're going to get a cyborg body when you get up there. Maybe, if they see something.
I don't think they'll even do that. I think it's just like something in a jar.
Yeah, just for Nova in the movie, for Nova to experiment with, So yeah, you don't want to do that, But of course, he doesn't know that. All he knows is what he's had she's got this agreement with Vector. He gets him 1 million credits, and he's going to send him up. But it kind of plays to the thought that maybe people in Zalem probably, or they might, see life people in Iron City probably see life in Zalem almost as if they were going to heaven. That's kind of the parallel I see, because they certainly don't know what is this, 10 million chips. That's right. Thanks, bad man. Yeah, and he couldn't send Hugo to Zalem in one piece, even if he wanted to. Yeah, because they would stop him. They wouldn't let him do it. So I guess Vector was more interested in the money than he was sending Hugo to Zalem. So anyway, either in the manga or in the movie for that matter. But
well, Hugo was useful to him, so that's why he scammed him into working for him, and then he figured he would be able to convince him to, not bother go up there. Yeah.
Well, he wanted him to work for him, didn't he? He said,
yeah.
you got a future with my team. He did see.
Like I said, Hugo was useful to him.
Yeah.
But he did finally decide, well, if the kid doesn't want to give his dream, I'll just have to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, if I can't use him, then nobody can. So anyway.
You know, kind of Vector's just as big. He's not as big a prick as Nova, but he's pretty big. So anyway,
Yeah.
You know the Bad Man. My favorite movie about AI is actually, it's funny. It's actually an older Disney Pixar movie called Wall-E.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah, those guys were in that damn. That all these humans were in these chairs that were floating around or something.
Well, yeah, they were
Yeah.
in the big flying ship.
Yeah, kind of like Zalem almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I think a lot of myths, were probably, probably Zalem, the MIB and Zalem. Of course, we don't know what they're going to call it in the movie, in the sequel. But the governing, faction in Zalem, MIB in the manga is they're probably aware of these myths. And for them, it's useful, for these people to think if I'm a good person or something, or if I work hard in the factory or I work hard in the farm,
It's always useful to lie
Yeah.
to the people that you are oppressing.
Yes. So if I'm good, and I work hard, they'll send me to Zalem, and they probably are aware of those myths, and they're going to say, I'm going to let them keep thinking that, because that'll mean they're more productive and we get our stuff, So
Yep.
anyway, that's the way that one would work, I think. Now, the last bullet there, the Motorball final champion wins access or gets to go to Zalem. Yeah, that's what Hugo tells Alita, when she sees Joshigon, I have a question about that. What I think probably would happen, and you folks in the chat, can chime in on this too, or you or Chaos can as well. What I think would happen would be with the Motorball champion, if they were going to send them to Zalem, they probably wouldn't send them up there in their body and all that.
Definitely not. They would
They would
unplug their
probably
core and send the core up.
Yeah, they'd send the core up and put them maybe in an agent's body or something like that, make them an agent.
That's assuming that they're
GIB.
actually going to let them live up there and not hand them over to Nova for experimentation.
Exactly.
I think they'll just take the brain.
And then maybe let Nova experiment on the brain. Let's see why this individual won final champion. Let's analyze this brain and dissect it and see what we can
basically
figure out. Yeah, that's what it'd be, because I don't believe they're going to let anybody up to Zalem. I just don't see it happening. I don't care how many credits you have. I don't care how good you are. The only way you could get to Zalem is if you had the power, like you were somebody like Superman, then you could go to Zalem because you just overpower him. But that's the only way you're going to get in there, unless Nova wants you there for some reason. If he sees value in you in the movie, if he sees value in you retaining your corporeal state, whatever that is, then maybe you get up there. But if he's just wanting to experiment on you, or maybe they want to take your brain and maybe put you in a tuned body, and like they did Alita, and send them out on a mission to go after the Barjack or something like that, then you're not getting up there. It ain't happening. It's kind of like what Ito told Shirin when they were sitting there at at that Mexican restaurant, I guess is what it was. He said, I can't believe you believe that you trust Zalem. It says there's no way back. It's just not going to happen, is what he tells her. And she says Vector can make it happen. No, Vector can't make it happen.
Yep.
He just can't do it. And now if Nova says he can do it, then maybe he can do it. But that ain't happening the way you want it to happen in 99.9% of the cases.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm really dubious of whether they're going to allow somebody as powerful as the final champion in Motorball to get up there and go up there and just live.
They're only as powerful as the body that they're allowed to possess.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about a cyborg. If you control the kind of body they get access to, you control how powerful they are.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, though, is that the body that the final champion's in is pretty powerful.
Yeah,
You're gonna
they're
let that
not going
body
to allow
just
basically a walking weapons platform into this.
yeah, they're not. That's not going to walk around Zalem. They're going to let. That's not happening. They're not going to want because first of all, they're not going to have as much control over that individual. I mean, as they would if they just take his brain, you know, and you know, do what they want with it, you know, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So. What does this mean? What's an analog here on our time in the 21st century? You know, in other words, how does here in the 26th century, I guess, where they are, how does the dream of reaching Zalem mirror any kind of ambitions they have, or any kind of, or what, or how do they think it's going to? They have illusions of it. How do they think that's going to play out? Anybody got any idea? Anybody, Lee, you or Chaos as well? What do you think?
Well, I think it mirrors the whole sort of not trope, but the that thing about so many Americans thinking that thinking of themselves as temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't help but see some of our words. Yeah. Zalem could represent the higher echelons of society and exclusivity. That's right. Americans wanted to live anywhere other than America. You know, Bad Man, I could see myself living, because I've been to other countries. I could see myself living like in England, because well, I have family in England, and I certainly have friends in Australia. I wouldn't want to live in Australia because of the spiders, something like that, you know.
The xenomorphs.
But, yeah, I could see or in Germany. I got friends in Germany as well on the guest house there, but. You know, I could see myself living somewhere. Now the thing of it is,
I don't know, Bad Man. There's
so,
a lot of places in the North American continent. I'm just letting you know that. That's Alaska, that's Arizona, that's Florida, that's New York, Massachusetts, and so on. There's a lot of climates in one continent.
Well, to Bad Man's point, even in America, you know, do you think somebody that's used to the heat in Arizona is going to adapt very easily to going up to, say, northern Alaska?
I don't know. I was in Arizona for a time. I mean, you need to go to, you know, in the mountain areas, it could be cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. But if you like live near Phoenix or Tucson or someplace like that, that's going to be hot as hell. And you go up to Alaska and you live, say, around Anchorage or someplace like that, where in the wintertime, you know, you can get to 20 below, you know, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio did get
pretty tough.
Freezing, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just think it's more of a, you know, it's going to be a challenge to adapt. And I'm not saying they can't adapt. They probably could, you know, to a lot of folks. But like us Americans, we're so used to living where we are. You know, like for me, I love living in Denver. You know, to me, it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's the best place for me to live. Do I want to go to someplace else? I don't know. It'd have to be some enticement, you know, probably, you know. I mean, I think I could do it, you know, for sure, you know, but I just love living in Denver so much that, you know, I'm not going to willingly move, you know. I'm not just on a lark going to move to someplace in who knows, you know. I'm not going to name any states because, you know, I love my country, but you know, but you know what I'm saying, you know. But I've lived in Florida, I've lived in North Carolina, I've lived in Los Angeles, you know, these places, you know, and you know, I adapted well to all of them, you know. I mean, but Denver's my preference, and I think a lot of Americans would feel the same way. Now, I don't know about Australians, maybe AKA. Yeah, here we go, AKA. Same way about your guns as you feel about our spiders. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd be carrying a can of Raid around with me everywhere I'd go if I was in Australia, just in case, you know. But yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, we got more guns than people in America, so that's the way that works, I guess. So. But AKA, what's do Aussies frequently move around Australia? I mean, do they, you know, or do they get into a place and they kind of get embedded in there and they, you know, we're not moving, you know, something like that?
or are they more, I wouldn't say transient, but are they more amenable to moving or something like that? Maybe AKA could answer, or maybe Angelus if he's out there. He's hopefully they're typing. Oh hell yeah, he said. They move overseas a lot too. Okay, yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I read a story here not too long ago about a lot of Americans that are moving overseas now, you know. Now, I wouldn't say it's a big majority or anything like that, you know, I mean, but there are some, you know, that are doing it. So, yeah. What's this? Not a single person I grew up with still lives around my neighborhood. Well, there you go. There you have it. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I grew up in Pensacola, Florida. You know, I lived, well, I was born in Pensacola, Florida. I grew up in LA, and, you know, we lived down in Miami and, you know, stuff like that, you know, and I moved around, you know, so I don't live in my neighborhood that I was born in, that's for sure, or that I grew up in. So, yeah, I guess it's similar, AKA. In terms of real world, what the parallel I see, I mentioned it a while ago too, is that people dreaming about going to Zalem, you know, it's almost like they see Zalem as like what, like some maybe more religious people. Yeah, that's right, AKA. Yeah, Pensacola was in contact. I remember that. Yep. Yeah, Pensacola is a good town. There's no doubt about it. You know, I mean, it's the beach is there and all that stuff, you know, so it's yeah, it's pretty nice, you know. I mean, I don't mean to demean it at all. You know, I spent a lot of my life in Pensacola for sure, you know. But yeah, what I see the parallel is that like with maybe religious people. Now, you guys probably all figured out I'm not that religious, but you know, I can see that what the parallel I see is like what religious people see today. You know, they feel like, you know, if they, you know, if they accept, say Jesus, you know, as their Lord and Savior, they're going to go, and they're a good person, they're going to go to heaven, you know. Well, I see the Zalem people kind of in a similar thing. They think if I work hard and I'm productive and you know, I do what the factory tells me or do what the farm requires, I will be rewarded and they'll take me up to Zalem. No, they won't.
I think there's actually a religion that's hinted at in a manga that's similar to that. I saw
Yes.
a
Yeah.
number of people that were like praying to Tefaris, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. That's to my point, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but that's the parallel I see, you know. So,
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you get people with
Yeah.
a low level of education, there's going to be some superstition creeping in. They're going to start believing that there are supernatural aspects to some of the things that they may not understand very well because they weren't taught much about it.
Yeah. Well, I want to say one more thing to AKA about Pensacola. The beach in Pensacola, all along the, I guess, the Florida coast on the Gulf of Mexico, that all of those beaches, the sand is as white as sugar. And if you drive along the beach, particularly around areas like Destin and these places, and you know, you can see the water, you can see the Gulf from the road. The water is translucent almost to the point that it's transparent. You can see the bottom, you know, I mean, it is really stunning, you know, and it is a beautiful place to live, all of Northwest Florida on the beach, you know, it really is. So anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. This is not a travel, you know, ad for Pensacola.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see. You can't help but see parallels on the scrapyard in Israel and Palestine.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing about the scrapyard is a general term for a lot of countries where it's just like throughout the African continent where you have the city and there's the scrapyard where all the garbage and some of that garbage, a lot of that garbage actually gets recycled, reused.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But yeah, there is a parallel for that, isn't there? So yeah, I guess AKA loves Pensacola as well, even though he's not there. Stop it, Creek. You're making me want to go there, and I can't afford it. So yeah, I like Pensacola. Matter of fact, I got a little place there in Destin that's
you know, it's pretty nice. You know, it's within walking distance of the beach, so you know, it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's let's get away from Pensacola.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, any other thoughts here, guys, about how you know, how the Zalem and the, you know, the dreams of going to Zalem, and you know, if people have, if they think if they're good, they have the ambition to go in there, and you know, well, what do y'all think?
I don't like it. Zalem's blocking the sun and putting a shadow on you. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Lee, you got any thought about that?
Nothing really I can think of. Nothing that hasn't already been mentioned anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things that people are living in a desperate, destitute condition are going to look up at some shiny floating city, and they're probably naturally going to assume that something better must be up there.
Yeah.
Nah, don't go to Zalem. Get in an RV like me and drive out east.
Well, that's
Those
like
native, at least I don't get in trouble with the native people out there. So,
well, since I'm part native, maybe I can get away with it. I don't know.
you know, the mole people are just like a new kind of native, because it's,
yeah, that's
everything.
right.
Everything got messed up by the asteroid and what happened.
Yeah, they're not American Indians, are they? Chaos.
Well, I guess I'd call them new Native Americans.
Or something, or native something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've often kind of wondered if maybe there's some kind of leftover genetically engineered slave race or something that got loose.
Could be, you know. Well,
But
as
they
we
could
said,
also be mutated, because you have mutants like Karula
yeah.
walking around, who's an actual
Well,
vampire.
no, the mole people are naturally born that way. It's not a disease.
Yeah, but it's still a result of mutation, though, isn't it? So, but like say about Iron City, though, it is a dystopian type of landscape. So, yeah, I think
Right. I'm just saying the mole people are a different kind of mutant. They're not a diseased and sterile kind of mutant.
Well, I didn't mean to refer to them as just that. They are
they're a different kind. I'm just saying they're not like those other. They're not like Cerula. They actually are not sterile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd call the Badlands in the movie a tropical Eden type place.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, if you've looked at some of the, seen some of the references to things like the toxins, some of the bioplagues that are rumored to still be sort of lurking around out there in little pockets and things like that, as well as I think there were rumors of mutated wildlife.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of dangers out there. There was a reason people didn't go out there.
Yeah. Well, I would say one thing in the manga, you know, in the Badlands arc where Figure 4 lived, he lived on the West Coast, I guess, in Alhambra.
Yeah.
And that would, I don't know if it'd be a tropical Eden type place, but it would be, I mean.
Well, it looked a lot more idyllic than some other areas.
Yeah, that's right. But it was on the beach. I mean, you know, if you like the beach, maybe you could get by.
So, actually, I think his village was in the remains of skyscrapers that were still above water.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe Los Angeles, maybe, or something.
Could be.
Yeah. Well, Alhambra is outside of Los Angeles. So,
there was also the stories that Tanji was telling about various types of people that had gone off to try and live off the land out in the Badlands.
Yeah, and they don't.
And
come back.
they end up kind of becoming hills have eyes sort of type of thing.
Yeah. That was in the
novelization. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, guess who?
Hey,
Bruce,
Hello,
Bruce
Finn.
Scott, Finn. He gave us the deal, Hoyta. So anyway. Okay, I think we've answered this, but we can revisit it. Why can't our Iron City citizens go to Zalem? Well, for one thing, and if you saw the in the extras where they talk about the fall and that President Jensen guy, you know, shut down Zalem and stuff like that. He was the president of the U.S., I guess, is what he was. You know, they were afraid of disease getting up there.
you know, and they didn't want people from the surface who were subjected to that biological weapon that
They didn't want it spreading up into the rest of the population.
So they basically cut off access to Zalem, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. Yeah, that's right, bad man. Alhambra is east. Well, everything is east of LA. You can't go west unless you're out in the water. So, but you're right. So anyway.
Oh, Finn's apparently in Italy. Are you on vacation, Finn?
Oh, wow. Did you move to Italy there, Finn? Or are you?
Yeah, give him a minute to type.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's responded to my, you know, Bigatus Dio, which means, how are you today? No, his brother, I guess. I guess his brother lives in Italy. Maybe, is that what it is, Finn? Because Switzerland sits right on top of Italy, I think, if I remember my.
So I guess visiting family or something?
Yeah, maybe so, yeah. Oh, on his motorcycle, okay, or his brother's motorcycle, okay. Yeah, I hope you wear leather, Finn, if you ride that motorcycle. Yeah. But anyway, that's the main reason that Iron City citizens can't go to Zalem in the beginning. I think later on, you know, like during like the movie, they don't want to be associated with these people down in Iron City because they think they're rats.
I think that's part of it. There could be still the continuing fear that something could get up there if people were brought up with biological bodies and things.
Or
like
if they're like carriers.
Which might be part of the reason why they might allow, you know, a final champion to get up there, because they don't have a biological body to spread disease or carry it or anything.
Well, it's, you know, it's like you know, if they're, you know, like you say, they're biological, they might be carriers. So yeah, they don't want that. So that's.
But I think that only part of it. You still have the whole sort of like they see the surface dwellers as beneath them at this point.
Exactly.
I think it's kind of like I think a good analog to that, or a good comparison, might be Snowpiercer, where you've got the people in the back of the train are all very poor and ragged, have no power, are fed all these fed this protein that is just sort of like a protein bar that doesn't seem to be made of anything recognizable. Meanwhile, people towards the front of the train, they get wealthier and more well-to-do and have better access to resources as they get up there.
Well, that sure seems like a parallel with Zalem, doesn't it, in Iron City? So.
Yeah. And it started out as a way to try to escape some kind of catastrophe that was befalling the Earth. And a lot of the people at the rear of the train were refugees that came in and were eventually turned into sort of a resource that the people towards the front of the train use to make their lives better.
What's this?
Oh, is he there for a race?
I think he's there for a race. Where was that? Yeah, here we go. That's what he was at. Noel now.
The MotoGP race.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, Finn, but cool. Hope you have a good time.
It's apparently a motorcycle race, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hope you enjoy your time there.
Just for fun. It's not a championship. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So anyway, we see that the folks in Zalem, they don't want to have anything to do with contact with people in Iron City.
No, I don't want to do anything with
whatever.
Filthy dirt siders.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's funny, back in the old West here in America, and I'm going to use this term, but I don't take offense at it, but the white man, as the Indians would call them, you know, the white man called the Indians filthy savages. But truly, what was going on there was that Indians did not want to associate with whites because they didn't bathe and they smelled bad, and Indians bathed. So that's the story anyway. You know, now I guess you can look that up and see if it's true or not. But I think that's you know, that's
it could could certainly be one of the reasons.
kind of like projection, isn't it? So yeah. But I think Iron City citizens, you know, are considered subhuman. We don't want.
Well, I don't doubt it. I mean, it's just like in that movie Snowpiercer, the people towards the back of the train were eventually considered basically just subhuman scum. They only existed to be used up as a resource to better the lives of the superior people towards the front of the train. You know, the real human beings.
Yes. That's what the Zalem people think of themselves, you know. Yes. Okay, well, I think we hit that one good enough. So anyway, we talked about, you know, the difference between the two societies, between Zalem and Iron City. I think hopefully we gave you a little bit better picture, you know, of what's going on, the reason why they're separated or segregated like they are. Initially, it started out because the folks that lived in Zalem were afraid of the plague, I guess, that got unleashed on Earth.
I think there was more than one bioplague, and they were fairly powerful.
Yeah. Well, the in the movie, the launched it on them, but I think that's the way it started out. But I think as time went on, it went beyond that. I think it's kind of like Lee was saying, they started thinking them as like, well, they're not as good as us. We don't want them up here. You know, I mean, and you know, and,
well, we don't want them up there because, you know, they're disease-infested savages. You know, they need to stay down there where, you know, disease-infested savages belong. Yes,
that was their perspective, I guess. So, but anyway, folks in Iron City nevertheless continued to dream that they could go to Zalem if they were good. They worked hard and all that good stuff. They could go to Iron City, you know, but they can't. That's an illusion.
Big load of shit.
That's exactly right. So anyway, I think that's about it, guys. Did we miss anything?
Well, nothing jumps out at me.
Yeah, Chaos, what do you think? Did we miss anything? He must be busy with some young folks. So we'll move on from that. As you can see from that center panel right there, Alita does love her Uncle Creek, and that's because he wants a sequel like we all do. And we're going to keep fighting until we get it. This is our queen. And Rose is #1 in the Creek's book in terms of being an actor. I mean, she is just phenomenally good. Man, just seeing her on stage was just so enjoyable, and just, it was awesome. You know, that's about the best way I can put it. She was magnificent up there, and just really a good person too. Talked to Charlie and I, and we had a good time talking to her, you know. I want to give shout outs to El Lamont and Jesse Fisher as well, because they brought Screwhead to life. And what I want to see is, I want to see Alita and Screwhead team up and take on Joshigan, because I think Screwhead's going to think, I think Screwhead's still alive. I don't think she got killed, because her core looked to be still intact, you know. So put her in another body, because it's like Elle said, they could transfer her from body to body, you know, that kind of thing. And
the damage didn't look to be anywhere near anything critical.
Not like what Stinger went through anyway.
I mean, there was one guy on the track. He got his head knocked off, and he was still active.
Yeah, he was still talking, wasn't he? Oh, crap. Yeah.
I think it was mainly for, you know, comedic effect, but, you know.
I think so, yeah. But nevertheless, he still survived. So, but anyway, it's like Elle said, she's Screwhead's going to be pissed off. You know, she feels like Vector has manipulated her, and she's all pissed about it. And she goes to Lee and say, "Hey, girl, I'm with you. Let's just burn it all down." You know, I love that. That was really great, you know. And they take on Joshigan, and of course we know how that's going to turn out in the manga, but we don't know how it's going to turn out in the sequel. So hopefully we'll get to see, not hopefully, I keep saying hopefully, but it's not. I have a lot of confidence we're going to get a sequel. So tomorrow on Radio Chaos, I don't know if Angelus is still out in the chat or not. He might not be. We're going to talk about the very thing, kind of what preceded what we talked about today, about the the battle between, or the war between Earth and Mars. Is it really realistic? That's what we're going to kind of address here, because really we don't have, here in the 21st century, we're not an interplanetary society. We're not even a type 1 civilization. We're a type 7.2, I think is what I saw somewhere on the Kardashev scale,
Yep.
So we don't really have a deep understanding or realization of what an interplanetary war would be like. We have an idea of what it would be like, but it's like my favorite philosopher Alan Watts once say, you can have an idea that fire is hot. You stick your hand in the fire and you realize it's hot. So, that's kind of where we are with
I
that.
think a series that really did a good job of showing a fairly realistic interplanetary war was The Expanse.
Yes, that's a good series. It's more realistic too, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't have warp drives and stuff like that in it, which I enjoy warp drives, no doubt. So we got Mikey Vike out there. Mikey Vike, I haven't seen heard from you for a while, bud. Let's see, 2020 last one of these streams. Happy to still be strong for Alita. Yeah, well, we are, Mikey Vike, and we're glad you're with us. That's for sure. So, but anyway, join us for Radio Chaos tomorrow. We always have a good time on that stream, and that is the sister stream to the Alita live stream. We support each other quite a bit, I think, and we should have a good time talking about this interplanetary war, I think, because I've got some ideas of what I'm going to put in slides. But relax, it's not going to be 99 slides, so it won't be a 4-hour stream unless we really get excited about it. So maybe it turns into that, but probably not. And of course, we want to thank everybody for joining the Alita live stream. Thanks to Lee. Lee's a regular, and so is Chaos. So we don't really deal with guests like they do on Radio Chaos, because anybody can come on here. We don't consider you a guest. We consider you family. So you're extended family. So anybody can come on. But if you love Alita Battle Angel, then certainly you're in the right place here, watching the Alita live stream, and you would be in the right place watching, Radio Chaos itself. So anyway, we enjoy doing the stream, and it's a fun thing for us. It's a labor of love for us. We don't make money at this, and certainly. Well, now Matu, I think she's kind of she's with her parents right now. I'm not sure she's available to come on too many streams, but certainly, and Do Not Stand By, he's got that new company thing going. So he's, he comes on from time to time himself, and Spendrick has certainly got, he has some health issues, but he was on our watch party on Tuesday. So that was pretty cool. It was great to see him, is wonderful. And certainly Vladi is with family. He's out of town. I think he went to London or somewhere, And of course, our goddess and queen is Rosa. This is she's number one in all of our books in terms of being an actor. She's super duper. Now, if you want to come on and talk to us, then of course, all you need to do is just basically click on this link that I just put in the chat right here, and here it is. You click on that link, and you can come talk to us. We don't stream this. This is just us. You just get to talk to us on the stream right now, the panel, and you're welcome. I don't care if you're English. You think your English is bad, don't worry about it. My English is not that good, really. I mean, I might be fluent in it, but I'm not that good at it. So come on, come into the after party. We'd love to have you, and it's a way for you to also kind of get used to getting on something like this. You're not streamed, but you say, well, this is not so bad to get into this, and it might kind of give you a little confidence to get on a stream one day, and you'll see that it's really a fun thing, and it's it's not it's not as terrifying as you think it is. Finn, your English is fine. Don't worry about it. Your English, Finn, is better than my German. That's for sure. So, you know, that's the way that goes. We are the Alita Army, and we support Alita and Rosa Salazar passionately and positively. And we are here to stay. And that means we are going to keep doing this stuff until we get that sequel. And you know what? Even after we get that sequel, I'm still going to keep doing this stuff. I mean, I might stop doing 3 videos a week. I might start doing 2, something like that. But we are going to continue to, you know, promote our girl, promote our queen. We want the best. We want those sequels. We want the best for our queen in terms of her career and all that stuff. And, you know, it's, you know, Disney, give us the sequels, damn it. That's what we want. And with that said, why is this image here? Well, that image is there because I like it. And of course, it's there because I'm also the stream manager, the producer, the janitor, the grip, the gaffer, all that stuff. Well, we don't have any gaffers here, but anyway. And to paraphrase Gruishka, I'm only here for our girl and our queen and the Alita Army, as we all in the Alita Army are here for our girl, our queen, and the Alita Army. And that only leaves one thing left for us to do. And that would be to call to action on my count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Film those
sequels,
baby.
baby. So anyway, we'll see you next week on the Alita Livestream, and we'll see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita Livestream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.